Hi there and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be referring a lot to the dual credit and AP FAQ that I told you about in the previous video. It was sent to your child through their school email, and it was also posted in Google Docs. This is what it looks like. I know you can't really see it very well, but this is what I'm going to be referring to. And I'm going to be looking at some of the questions and some of the answers. The first question we've already addressed. It was, what is dual credit? And so I'm going to go ahead and move on to question 2, who pays for dual credit? At early high school, parents, students are responsible for the cost of their dual credit classes. And we do have dual credit through a couple of institutions. One is through Ranger College, and one is through Howard Payne University. Now, the great news, if you are taking dual credit through Ranger College, they are currently doing an experimental program where if you fill out the FAFSA and you qualify for the Pell Grant, then as a high school student, you can actually get Pell Grants to help you pay for your college. Ranger College is the only community college in the state of Texas who is doing that. And so we've had several students that have applied and they are eligible. So they're able to take these courses at very little, if any, cost to them. Howard Payne, they do not participate in that program. So if you're not eligible, or even if you're taking classes at Ranger and you're not eligible for the Pell Grant, and you do have to fill out the FAFSA to see if you're eligible, then the cost comes out of your pocket. Currently at Ranger, there was a price reduction from $80 a credit hour to $50 a credit hour, which that is phenomenal. That just very seldom ever happens that prices go down. Most courses are 3-hour courses. So if you're taking a course through Ranger and it's a 3-hour course, then the cost would be $150. If it's a 4-hour course, then it would be $200, then plus the cost of textbooks and any materials. At Howard Payne, the cost is $100 per credit hour. So most of your courses there would be $300 unless it's a 4-hour course, and then it would be $400 plus the cost of your textbooks and any materials. Question 3 asks, when can a student begin taking dual credit? At early high school, I will allow you to start taking dual credit as a freshman. I do want you to know it's going to be very limited what you can take as a freshman and even as a sophomore, but you can be getting some courses under your belt. It really opens up your junior year when you can really start taking a whole lot of different dual credit courses. What do you have to do to see that you are college ready to take a college course? A couple of things we need to look at. If you have taken the PSAT, NMSQT, that's a mouthful. I don't try to say it fast because I know I'll mess it up. If you've taken that exam and you scored high enough, then you can be exempt. Now, that exam is offered in October, and we allow sophomores, if they want to take the PSAT, they are allowed to take it. They have to pay for it. We pay for juniors to take it. Now, if your child took the PSAT this October, results usually come out about the middle of December. So if you're kind of waiting around to see what your child scored, there will only be a very, very short window of time. If he or she did not score high enough on the PSAT, then they would need to take the TSI. And like I said, there would be a very short window of time to get that done. We'll talk about some deadlines a little bit later on. And while I'm on deadlines, let me go ahead and say this. Deadlines for Howard Payne and deadlines for Ranger are very different. So please make sure that you and your child know what those deadlines are. So if you're waiting around on the PSAT, my best advice, it would probably be better for you to go ahead and take the next exam that I'm going to talk about, which is the TSI. And you'll oftentimes hear it called the TSIA. The TSI is a test that will determine whether or not your child is college ready. And it tests reading, math, and writing. And it may be that your child is college ready in one area, but not in another area. The good news is you can retake the TSI as many times as you need to. The TSI, there will be a score for each section, and on this handy little document that I made, and I'm going to be referring to it right now, if your child takes the TSI, then he or she would need to score a 350 in math to be eligible to take a math course, a 351 in reading, and then the writing, they have to score a 340 with an essay score of 4, or if they score a 5 on the essay, then they would be considered college ready for courses that are considered writing courses, such as your English 1301 and 1302. The reading, different courses would fall under that, such as your history, psychology, sociology, etc. So if your child has not taken the PSAT, NMSQT, and those scores, by the way, for the PSAT, they have to score a 510 to be college ready for math. And then they have to score a 460 in the evidence-based reading and writing to be ready to take reading and writing type courses. If your child hasn't taken that, or they didn't score high enough, and they haven't taken the ACT or the SAT, then they need to plan on taking the TSI sooner rather than later. Qualifying scores for the SAT would be a 530 in math and a 480 in the evidence-based reading and writing. Now, if your child took the ACT, the qualifying scores, they have to have a composite of 23 and a math score of 19 to be considered college ready for math, a composite of 23 and an English score of 19 to be considered college ready in reading and writing. So let me recap what I just said, because I feel like I may have bounced all over the place. And if you're new to this, it can all be very confusing. So I want to make sure that I am clear on what we're looking at. So to take dual credit courses, your child either has to have taken and scored high enough on the PSAT, the ACT, or the SAT to be exempt from taking the TSI. If they haven't taken any of those tests, then they for sure need to take the TSI. If they have taken those tests and either they didn't score high enough or they only scored high enough in one area, then they're going to need to take at least a portion of the TSI. And I am happy to visit with you if you want to email me, call me, ask me questions. Majority of our students, especially freshmen, they have not taken any of those tests. Sophomores, they may have taken the PSAT. Generally, they have not taken the ACT or the SAT. So those two groups almost always need to take the TSI. But I'm happy, like I said, to visit with you on that. So what is the EHS deadline for taking the TSI if your child is going to take spring classes through Ranger? That deadline is going to be December the 18th, and I've pushed it back as far as I can. So if your child is planning on taking courses in the spring through Ranger and they're not exempt from the TSI, then they need to make sure that they have that done by December the 18th. The Howard Payne deadline is significantly earlier. So if your child is wanting to take courses through Howard Payne, there's a couple of different ways. Ranger classes are primarily online. Howard Payne courses, they have some online, and then they have some where students actually travel to their campus. And because of that, we have to get students registered with them earlier than we do with Ranger. And so the deadline to have taken the TSI, if you're not exempt from taking it, for Howard Payne is going to be November the 21st, because we have to get your information in and seats have to be reserved. So 2 different deadlines. December the 18th for Ranger, November the 21st for Howard Payne. Where can your child take the TSI? Well, they can take the TSI at the Ranger College campus here in Early, or they can go to TSTC. It's a little bit cheaper now to take it at Ranger, and it doesn't count against them where attendance purposes are concerned. They do need to bring their school report back, and we will use that, and we will code them as co-curricular. How do they go about getting registered for the TSI? I have instructions for them in their Google Classroom. And there is a dual credit section in Google Classroom, and it gives instructions for taking the TSI at Ranger, and it gives instructions for taking the TSI at TSTC. It's the same test. It doesn't matter which place they go. As I said, it is a little bit cheaper at Ranger to do that right now. That's a lot of information that I've passed on to you in this video. So I'm planning on having another video where we will continue. We'll pick up where we left off on this sheet of paper. So if you haven't already gone and printed it off, if your child hasn't invited you to their Google Classroom, or you haven't been creeping on their email, and you want a copy of this, just email me and I'm more than happy to get that to you. My school email is hope.bearden, and my last name is just like a bear den, B-E-A-R-D-E-N. So hope.bearden@earlyisd.net. Until next time, love purple, live gold.